we'll call this meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Trustee Clark, would you please lead us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's just pause for a moment of silence for those who have perished in the natural disasters of the last couple of weeks. May they rest in peace. Okay. Thank you. May we have roll call of the board?
Trustee Clark?
Present.
Trustee Dropper?
Present and accounted for.
I'm sorry. I have to get my composure back now. Trustee Hollenbach?
Present.
Trustee Lufer?
Present.
Supervisor Wilt?
Here.
Let the record note that the clerk allows in attendance also.
Okay, thank you. In your packets, you have the minutes of a couple of meetings. So let's first take the minutes of the August 8th meeting. What is your pleasure?
I make a motion we approve the minutes of August 8, 2017 board meeting.
We have a motion
Seconded.
and a second. Are there any additions or corrections or any discussion?
I have one on page 2, item C, with the Prairie Trail Federation grant. To reconsider all three at the September meeting is requested, information is provided. All in favor, none opposed. It should be in there that Trustee Lupfer abstained from this one,
Okay, thank you.
and that's the only correction I saw.
Anything else? Hearing no other additions or corrections, we have a motion to approve with one correction the minutes of August 8th, 2017. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried. And then we have the minutes of the special meeting on September 5th. I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify with aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you. Are there any communications?
None.
Very good. I thought that the assessor would be here, but I don't think there's anything except that they've been very busy. Are there any comments from, we will address the grant proposals in a little bit, but does anybody in the audience have any other comments before we get to those? Very well. Supervisors report. Just an update on a few things. We have utilized the services of our first food pantry volunteer on September 1st. One of the residents put in a couple of hours in the food pantry, and then she was back again for a few hours last week. I prepared a set of guidelines for filling the bags that are now posted in the food pantry and that we gave her. We ran low on some of the food in late August, and so twice in the last month I purchased supplies for the food pantry using a newly issued debit card for the food pantry account. Although I would prefer to shop within the township, Riverside Foods is relatively expensive, so I did admittedly purchase items at Aldi to restock the shelves, and took us a whole lot farther than the same amount would have elsewhere. I'm also going to check, I have checked actually at Costco, but most of their things are in such large volume packaging that it doesn't work well. As we approach the holidays, you'll see in the that we also will review how we've done holiday meals in the past, and then we can talk about that later. The state fair trip, although we had some last-minute cancellations, we did have 36 people on the bus to the state fair, 20 of whom were township residents and 16 were not. So that's about 55% from the township. There were several people who had to cancel during that last week before the trip, so the proportions might have been a little bit different if all of the other people were able to attend. Perhaps next time, if we have a newsletter that publicizes it, we'll fill up better. And we did purchase admission tickets in advance to get discounts, but we were never asked to present tickets. So next time, if we do this kind of thing again, we will just come prepared to pay at the gate. The swinging bridge, I gave you a copy of the Torma letter that we finally received regarding what I had told you they commented. I'm not sure why it took them so long to put it in writing, but I have had several people individually, not on any official basis, ask us to consider allowing the bike path across the bridge, so I'm sure that we will be approached officially again. I also was approached about the condition, specifically the paint on the bridge, which I had also observed needs some attention. The suggestion was made that last time it was done, that perhaps the vendor didn't pay attention to the standards for temperature when it was painted, and this person suggested that we might have recourse against them. So I checked it out. It was last done in spring of 2011, so that's, over 6 years ago. I don't know that we're going to be able to claim at this point that it was done under improper conditions. At that time, we had engineer reviews and recommendations for it, and then we had a sealed bid process. Yes, the job went to the lowest bidder, and I don't think we have, any recourse at this point, but I think painting is in our not too distant future. Probably not now before the winter, but come spring, we'll make sure, because I figure there'll be more damage over the winter, and then we probably at that point should have an engineering review again, make sure that everything, all the bolts are in place and so forth. One of the remaining residents in Riverside Lawn contacted us a few weeks back about a downed tree, claiming we were responsible, and some research confirmed that in fact it was on the township's right-of-way off the road and not on her personal property. So we got Riverside Public Works to remove the tree from the street. It had fallen into the street, and then chop it into much more manageable pieces, but they didn't haul away. So Lofton, who does our lawn work, was called in for a bid. We also got an additional bid, but Lofton, probably because of the relationship, was a better deal. So we didn't need the stumps removed. It was just removal of the fallen tree, and then there was a dead tree just a few feet away that was going to fall over one of these days, so I had them take that down too. But just so you know that we sometimes have other responsibilities in the lawn. The annual audit report, you all received copies in your mailboxes of the audit from Selden Fox, and I had shared a draft with you in advance of that. No one expressed any issues. I have asked that they have a representative at one of our meetings to discuss the audit and clarify some things. They couldn't make it tonight. At first they said that October would work, but it looks like they're not going to be able to be here until November because another client who has not yet taken action on their audit is already on their calendar for our October meeting. So if you have any other questions in advance, I would suggest that you jot down any questions you might have, because it's not going to be till November when we meet with Ed Tracy, our main auditor. There's an annual treasurer's report, which the accountant is preparing right now, which has to be filed by the end of the month with Cook County. The audited report will also be filed with Cook County, as well as it's filed with the state comptroller. The availability of the audit report for review has to be published in a local paper, but because we, by doing that, and because we have an audit, we don't have to publish the whole report or anything like that. And regarding fall newsletter, I'm working on some material for that township newsletter. You'll see later on, we'll address some of the costs of doing that, and if any of you have another publishing firm, I simply got a quote from who has done our most recent newsletters, and we can certainly go elsewhere and take a look. The floors and carpeting in the town hall were cleaned over a weekend, although we were a little dissatisfied with how the hard floors here in the lobby turned out. So they've come back, they've reviewed it, and they will be coming back for another coat and to smooth that all out in mid-October, the second Saturday in October. I know it's only September, but we probably should think about what we're going to do in terms of a holiday party for staff as well as the board. I understand that for the last few years, the holiday party has simply been a potluck, and it was usually done at lunchtime, but the board were mostly retirees up until now. So we may want to look at an evening instead, and so if you want to think about what we want to do, but I guess the potluck has been nice, and it's been a good interaction with the board and the employees. And just, if you tried calling us at this morning by any chance, we had a power outage that was a little bit under an hour earlier today. The village kept working because they have a generator. We may look into that. I understand about twice a year there's an outage like this, and this time it was just under an hour, but could have been longer. I have no idea what caused it. There was no obvious work being done in the area, but it was beyond our building. I could see that the bank across the way.
It affected me too.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 2 blocks away.
Okay. So that's all that I have that's not otherwise reported in the rest of your materials tonight.
I have a question on
Yes.
the Riverside lawn.
Yes.
Regarding Riverside lawn in general terms, do we know what's going on over there? I mean, have they been taking down houses?
They have
over
not
there?
yet. Because of this tree, and then I wanted to make sure that it was all cleared away properly, so it's usually easier to walk across the bridge and walk over there and review. They have not started tearing down any of the houses, and they haven't reported to us a date planned for it. This one house that this happened at, as a matter of fact, is going to be kind of an island unto itself. I checked, and there's not much around them that's going to remain once they start tearing those down.
I did read an article today in the Landmark that says they're going to start demolishing some homes in mid-October.
Mid-October, yeah. I
Right, so it'll be in the Landmark.
didn't get a chance to
tomorrow.
take a look yet
Right.
at the Landmark, but that's all.
And
about that.
I have one question also. Do you know the cost of the bridge painting back in 2011?
And I didn't bring that in.
Just give me an approximate, it'd be fine.
Yeah, I want to say, it was, I want to say about 15,000,
Okay,
but that doesn't count the engineering review of it.
right. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
How many township residents did you say went on the Springfield trip, the state fair trip?
There were 20 of them were from the township. 16 were
36.
outside.
Oh.
Yeah, 16 were outside. And several of the people, for example, the assessor had to cancel at the last minute because they had so many inquiries. Both the appeals and then North Riverside increased or put in a new water maintenance charge, which, however, they are allowing a senior exemption for. And so people had to come in with their tax bill to show that they are entitled to the senior exemption. And in that process, there were a lot of people who the village actually noticed didn't have all the exemptions they should have had. So they were sending them over to the assessor. So there's been a lot of activity in the assessor's office, so she couldn't go. Somebody took ill, and so there were a few. Somebody else had a car breakdown on the way over with a family full of people, and
Couldn't the bus just gone to pick them up?
Well, that was if we'd known soon enough, but we were actually holding the bus and it was like, what's going on? And then we said, well, do you want somebody to come get it? And it's like, no, they broke an axle, so it was like, anyway, so, that's about that. Any other questions about anything? Okay, are there any trustees' reports? Trustee Clark, do you have?
The seniors are gonna meet tomorrow at 1:00, and my speaker canceled on me this afternoon, so if anybody has a program that they'd like to give tomorrow at 1:00,
Wow.
I'm looking for something, otherwise we'll play games.
That's a shame. Okay, please do let us know so that we can publicize, and if you've got some things planned over the next few months, let us know so we can put it in the newsletter.
Okay.
That would be good. Okay, nothing else? Trustee?
Yes, so in regards to the newsletter coming up, maybe we can add, as the rest of the trustees are chairs for the different committees that we were talking about, maybe we can put an article in the newsletter about looking for volunteers for the certain committees if they so choose. For example, I mean, not speaking technically on the youth services committee that I'm chairing, but if, Trustee Heilenbach or Trustee Lumber were wanting to request volunteers, or if they need people to serve on those committees, then maybe we should put something in the newsletter about
Good idea. Please let me know any outreach that you'd like to put into that newsletter, or if you'd like to write something about your area of committee work, please do so. Okay. Is that all you had? Okay. Trustee Heilenbach, anything?
I have nothing on the mental health board. We meet next Wednesday.
Okay. Anything to report?
Yeah, I've talked to Greg Gorski at the Television Commission. He answered a lot of the questions I had at the last meeting. And we've come up with some innovative ideas on things we could do to outreach and further spread our message through the Television Commission and the existing agreement that we have. So I think he would like to come to the October meeting to discuss some of these ideas, because right now the deal we get is 12 live meetings, 4 special events, and that's kind of the $5,000 that we're paying. I think within there we can get maybe some 30-second PSAs kind of thing to help give them some breaks in their programming. Maybe work with their producers, their writers, that kind of stuff to kind of highlight things that we're doing as a township and put that on the TV. So on the next agenda, the October meeting's not going to be full of the audit, correct?
Correct. The auditor will not be here at October.
So I thought that might be a good one, because that agreement does end at the end of the year. So we'll want to kind of look at that by the end of the year.
Yeah, can I ask you a question, Trustee?
Sure.
I'm glad you talked to him. Was there any discussion regarding, because I'm curious, in the actual agreement that we have, we awarded the grant to the commission for $1,500 in 2013, and then it was increased to $1,750 in 14. And in 2015, it was $2,400, and then now it's $5,000 today. So that's a lot going, steadily increasing, that's one thing, but then jumping almost double in the course of a year. I didn't know if we were getting less in previous years, and how does the cost today relate to past years?
And that's the question I asked, and I didn't. It was a conversation on the phone, so I wasn't able to get an answer.
Gotcha.
And I think that's kind of why he's going to come and kind of take us through because I was asking the same questions I did at the meeting. Most of them were answered, but that's the critical question was, I mean, if this rate continues, is this going to be like the value of my house in the 06, right? So we'll figure that out. And I think he intimated that was it, that there would be no more increases, but that's a question we need to ask or answer, and I agree.
Okay. So have you already invited him? Would you like me to extend an invitation to
Yeah,
him?
would you mind?
Sure.
I just wanted to bring it up under new business, I guess, or trustee report. The other thing would be the food pantry, the community garden, and kind of trying to reinvigorate that. We have had some discussions here about the farmer's market, maybe coordinating with the Riverside and the Brookfield one, maybe bringing in Riverside Foods and Tischler's, and kind of partnering with some local entities to really reinvigorate that aspect of our operations. I do know some volunteers that would like to help with that. So I think that's something that we can take our time over the winter addressing. It doesn't have to be in the October meeting, but I think we should put it under new business at some point to kind of just have them come, kind of banter around some ideas, see what we can do about it.
Very good. Any other questions? And you said there's no report for mental health at this point because you have not had a meeting. So I would just recommend at this point, since we do have guests, would you mind if we skip down to the grant requests first and under old business, just go to D and then we can return to A? Any objection?
None.
Okay. So the first grant request, and I will tell you that up until today, I didn't get any information from any group, and that's why you received the paperwork just now and at your table spots, just in case you didn't go for your mailboxes. So the first was the Bulldog Wrestling Club, the sponsorship, and is this additional information for the sponsorship? Yeah, yes, correct?
I have some, provided bank statements as well as the proposal for the website. The proposal for the website is not necessarily the sponsorship, but the bank statement is will support both grants that were presented today.
Okay. Would you like to
Sure. So the
take the podium?
Again, I do have to recuse myself from this due
Very
to
good, thank
personal
you.
involvement.
Thank you, the record will so
I'm sorry,
reflect.
what's your name?
My name is Latham Corey. I'm one of the coaches. I've been coaching Bulldogs wrestling since 2014, and my kids have been doing it since they were 6 years old. The first grant proposal or grant request we're requesting is for the team sponsorship so that we can advertise the township name on our practice shirts. Provide some financial assistance to the volunteer coaches for certifications and trainings that are required, as well as sponsoring two underprivileged wrestlers that may not have the means to pay for the tournaments, the gear, and the entry cost to the club. We feel it's a great program. It's grown organically over the last 3 years from just 20 kids to over 50 kids last year, and we would hate to exclude anybody that would like to wrestle potentially but may not have the means to do so. We'd be able to advertise the township on our website potentially if we get the website grant. It would be on their shirts, it would be on all the communications that we send out to the parents. And we'd like to say that over 95% of the wrestlers in the club are in district or in township kids.
95%?
Yes.
So in your thing, you said you have 70 to 100 boys and girls, but then you just said 50.
So that's who we had last year. We had 20 kids in 2014. We grew it to 30 kids in 2016, and we had over 50 kids last year. So, and that's all been organic growth. We've shown a lot of interest in the kids that have been there, a lot of repeat wrestlers, and now their siblings and their friends are also looking to join the club as well. We've recruited additional coaches. one of which is a Hall of Fame Illinois wrestling coach that would be able to provide really great direction for some of the kids that would like to advance their wrestling skills. But another thing I really like about the club is that we're providing a service to kids that maybe don't want to wrestle in the future, but they're keeping them out of trouble in the winter months. They're keeping them fit and healthy and giving them some activities to do over those winter months where they'd be stuck in a house.
So I know I asked this question last month about how we're going to make sure that the scholarship goes to the kids that are living in the township and not to a kid that may be in a different area.
Absolutely, we thought about that as well. We're looking to have a formal application for kids that may require the assistance, and we will review those on an individual basis. We're familiar with a lot of the kids, and some of them were underprivileged last year that was struggling to pay for some of the wrestling fees, which we covered out of the wrestling funds and out of pocket for IKWF cards, donating old wrestling shoes, things like that. But we would take each of those circumstances or each of those applications on an individual basis and review them and make sure that they are in township kids.
In the packet, you gave your, do you have a letter from the IRS giving your 501c3 status?
I don't believe that we have that.
No. I did just some preliminary, information after our last meeting and checked on the groups. Not every group goes after their 501c3. What I did notice, and you may be unaware of it, on the Illinois Secretary of State's website, nonprofit organizations that have registered as nonprofits, yours expired about 4 years ago. So what it requires is that, you were, I'm trying to think of what the term is, but basically your status was canceled because of a lack of filing. So what you have to do, and it's not a terribly complicated form, but once a year you do need to file a form with the Secretary of State indicating that, who your directors are and that kind of thing. It's a housekeeping thing that a lot of nonprofits fail at because you don't have the administration going on. So it's something that you should look at.
We will definitely do that.
Could you go over the cost of what it costs for, the equipment for the kids?
Sure.
What that costs, that I think you have different matches, tournaments, so on and so forth?
Sure. So there's a fee just to have practice at the high school that we have to pay. At one point we had to pay a security fee as well to have a security person in the school. There are certifications for the coaches. I think those are $20 to $30 each year to get bronze certified. And there's IKWF cards, which are $20 to $30 for any kid that wants to wrestle in tournaments. There's a $20 entry fee for each of the tournaments for each of the kids, and that's not including the gear that they need to be able to participate in a tournament, like headgear, wrestling shoes, and singlets. And those range obviously just like any other sporting equipment, but wrestling headgear is $20 to $30, shoes are $20 to $50, and singlets are close to $40 or $50 as well.
Thank you.
May I ask, what is the IKMF?
IKWF is the
WF, okay.
Yeah, so that is the Illinois wrestling membership for kids to wrestle in
Okay.
tournaments.
Yeah, they did provide their bank statements for the last several cycles, and there
So
are
for a kid,
miniaturized checks.
oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
All right.
So
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So for a family that enrolls their child in this program, how much does that cost the family?
It's $175. That's for 2 practices a week for close to 4 months, and they're an hour and a half to 2 hour practices 2 times a week for 4 months.
And that's what that $175 covers?
That's what the $175 covers. That covers all the rental fees for the gym.
And then the family is responsible for their equipment?
they would be responsible for their equipment, and they'd also be responsible for their IKWF card as well as the entry fees to the tournaments.
Over and above the,
Over and above the practices, so the 2 days a week for approximately 4 months, that's just the practices, that's correct. And then, I'd like to say the tournaments are on Sundays, the coaches drive the kids to the tournaments, all out of pocket, they're all volunteer coaches, obviously, and we need to be certified and have our membership cards as well, which we've been providing ourselves for the last 3 years.
And didn't you say that was only like $20 or $25?
For the membership?
To get the certification?
Yes, that's right.
And so, you no longer have a security person at RB when you practice?
I don't know what the policy is going to be for this year. Last year, we did not need a security person because we had
Proper adult supervision.
yeah,
Yes.
we build a relationship with the high school where they've foregone that, because basically what we're doing now, and we've actually had our first graduate to start in the high school wrestling program, it's becoming more of a feeder program. We're really working together with the high school so that the kids that are competitive, they're moving into high school with the knowledge and the skills to be able to compete at a higher level. While we still have the kids that are there just to have fun, be fit, and have exercise, and we've been instilling these 5 core values in them, and it's just been a really positive program all around, I think.
other questions? What is your pleasure?
Well, I mean, it sounds like you have been growing, right? I mean, your membership has increased over the past years, which you
Significantly, and that'll kind of feed into our second grant request, and we don't have to get to that just right away, but administratively it's becoming very challenging to keep track of all the different wrestlers, all the schedules, verifying the memberships for the kids that are wrestling on the weekends, as well as getting them into the tournaments, all the communication, cashing the checks and all that is becoming a bit of an administrative nightmare for 50 kids, and while we're looking to grow to 70 or possibly 100 kids with 5 or 6 different coaches, we really need something to facilitate that, like a website, and assist us in that one-time cost of a website where we'd be able to cover the $500 maintenance fee going forward each year.
And it looks like I was just looking at your statements here, it looks like you're kind of like stagnant, right? I mean, you're just barely,
Oh, right.
It's coming in and going out.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely, we're there because we love wrestling. We want to have the kids there have a great time. It's not a business.
And you need a checking account so you can pay for your practice space and things like that.
Our practice space, the tournaments, the gear, we provided headgear and singlets last year to kids. Fortunately, we had such a big increase in the number of kids that joined last year, we were able to cover some of those costs, but we wouldn't be able to sustain that.
Yeah, well, I'll make a motion to
Wait, I
approve.
have one more question.
Okay.
How many are your coaches from Riverside Township that need this certification training?
We had 4 coaches, all from Riverside, needed the certification last year. I think we're going to have 2 additional coaches also from the township this year. And the Hall of Fame Illinois wrestling coach used to coach at RB. I don't believe he's a township resident, but he is associated with Riverside Brookfield High School.
He would coach there?
No, you coached at LT,
I'm sorry.
Oh, he coached at LT and he doesn't live in the township.
but he doesn't need certification.
Certification. I don't know.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve this first grant request in the amount of $800.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the grant request of $800. This is for the team sponsorship. Any more discussion?
The team sponsor, the coaches,
The
And
team
the-
sponsorship, the
yeah.
coach training, and the scholarships,
Yeah.
sorry. I just was referring to which side of the page. Any more? Then let's take a roll call vote on this.
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Hooper?
Abstain.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And then we have the other, which is for, there are 2 copies. I'll pass this around. This is the proposal for the other,
I saw that.
you did see it.
Yeah, I also talked to the, well, I didn't talk, I did some research on this company, and for what they're asking, the Riverside or the Bulldog Wrestling Club is, in my opinion, after reviewing it, it is pretty reasonable. It does help the kids out a lot, it helps the coaches out, it helps the people that are organizing it because they can go into that website. So I really don't have any other questions. I think it's a terrific deal for $2,500. It's actually $2,000 for the website, $500 for the maintenance for the first year. My question, I do have one question. I lied to you, sorry. This maintenance fee, it's going to come up every year. Is the club going to be able to absorb that, do you think?
Yeah, I believe that we can. With the amount of activity and the amount of wrestlers that we're getting each year, I think we'll be able to absorb that now without any problem.
How much, Trustee Clark has the thing, how
It's
much is it?
It's $2,000 for to purchase this website.
Right.
And it's a
$500
$500
maintenance.
maintenance fee for the first year.
Okay.
To keep it updated and upgrades, you know, I'm sure security and all that. Which for a website is not that bad, actually. I think they're getting a pretty good deal.
And it's a Riverside resident that will be creating the
Right.
website
Is
for
that
us.
Nick Fournier's wife?
I'm sorry?
Is that Nick Fournier's wife?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's what.
All right, then what is your pleasure?
I would be willing to grant this website request if you update your paperwork with the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's involuntary dissolution, that's your current status, so you need to.
And if you don't keep that up, that is a sign to me that you're, you know, not minding the small things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure that we, so Edix actually expired before we took over the program 3 years ago. So we weren't aware of that.
Okay.
So we'll definitely keep that up going forward. I don't think that'll be a problem.
All right, then, was that a motion to?
I'll make a motion to grant this $2,500 request for the Bulldog Wrestling Club. And can I make one other comment? And this is, on the page it says previous year's grants awarded. That was to the Booster Club and to the Young Life, which is not this club.
Right.
That's correct. That was,
That's a
Internal.
That's an internal error on
Sorry
our
about
part, so. So this would be a
Right.
new organization that we're granting to.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I'll second I'll second Trustee Clark's motion.
I have a motion and a second to grant the $2,500 award for the website development and then the $500 annual fee for this year. Any other discussion? Then roll call vote, please.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Luper, you're abstaining? Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you, trustees.
All right. And
Thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, and then the Prairie Trail Federation, you should have had the update from them at your, table spot. Do we have anyone to speak for it?
Sorry, what's your name, sir?
My name is Stephen Gretchik.
Okay, can we start asking questions?
Can I make a statement first? I just wanted to say thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come back. I hope that this was going to address some of the questions that you'd raised, as well as some of the items that had been included in the newsletter. I don't have a whole lot of experience, presenting to township boards, so I do apologize for any confusion that was caused last time and/or that may be in here, and I hope I can resolve that for you.
Sorry for the noise.
Okay, I was looking at the total annual cost of the father-daughter, and then it says son is $615.
So, the Kachina is the program that's for a father and daughter. Kiwashina is the program that's for a father or a son. So it's just basically indicating that the total cost for a family would be, $615 for a father and a daughter, or a father and a son. I was just trying to truncate it and save some space, but they could be split out separately. So it's, they're two organizations, and if you have a daughter, you come to one, and if you have a son, you come to other. And we have some people like myself that come to both because I have a daughter and a son.
So the $615 is what the family pays per child?
Correct. So that's, if you look above, the details there are that, you've got the campouts are $450. There's 3 campouts per year. Those are at YMCA camps. Then there's monthly events that are done. Those total about $20 per event. Those are usually subsidized through the payment of what we call wampum, which is money that each individual family pays at the beginning of the year to help defer costs. That's, as indicated here, not something that we would be looking for anybody that we were hoping to give a scholarship to. So, expectation isn't that we're trying to ask for money that we would use internally as an organization. We would offset that cost ourselves. So I was just trying to give you as much information as possible. I'm sorry.
So these are the expenses that the organization actually has?
These are a lot of expenses that the individual would have.
Wow.
So the individual has, the campouts, which end up being, again, $150 per campout. That's 2 nights at a YMCA. That's really kind of the core of what we do as an organization. It's about, fathers finding time to spend with their children. I personally can attest to the fact that there have been campouts where on a Friday morning or Friday evening, I'm getting ready to go to camp out and I'm thinking, I'm just too busy for this. This is just, and then on the Sunday when I'm coming home, I'm thinking, well, I'm glad that I did that. And, those are the kind of memories that we're trying to do. So that covers food at the campouts. That covers the cost of all the activities at the campouts. So typically at the camps, you'll have, team building exercises, you'll have ropes courses, you'll have canoes. So any of the facilities that a child would use if they go to summer camp at a YMCA, we have access to while we're there at the camp. The $20 is, again, that's the fee that, would be paid for any of the individual events, whether that's, pizza and games, or whether that ends up being, bowling or laser tag or some of the other things. We try to keep the tribe together and do something about once a month.
So if I had a son or daughter that belonged to this organization, what would be my cost per year? We're going on 3 campouts for $450 and
correct. So
a daddy-daughter dance for $615?
Well, so one of the things when I spoke to the Federation and we discussed the utilization of the funds, one of the topics that came up was the fact that the Kachina tribe is actually responsible for the daddy-daughter dance that's done at the Riverside Country Club. So each year we end up, usually it's roughly about 200 to 300 people that come out. It's all fathers and daughters, and they come to the daddy-daughter dance. So the thought was, can we extend some of the scholarship funding potentially to other residents that maybe aren't part of the organization but are township residents? The problem that we have, right, is that as we present to people and say that there are funds that are available for sponsorship or scholarship, the question is who needs and who's willing to kind of come forward and say that they need. had a conversation with my wife just today about a family that I know would love to join the organization. I don't know if they'll take the charity. So I discussed the fact that we might be able to have some kind of contest that they could win that would allow them the ability to get some scholarships and to attend the events without them having to kind of claim to everybody that they've taken, kind of charity from either the township or from the organization.
Trustee Clark, a point of clarification. All those costs above are total up to the $615, not an additional $615.
So the total annual cost is $615 per individual, and that's the combination of those, not inclusive of the tribal fund contribution, because it's our intention to waive that for anybody. So if you were to, so what I pay is I pay $615 for myself and my son, and I pay $615 for myself and my daughter to attend all of the events throughout the year. There are other things that are asked of me in terms of bringing crafts that I have to do out of my own pocket and some other things that we ask people within the organization to do. But the explicit cost is $615.
It's $615 per child,
For a parent and a child.
for a parent and a child.
Correct.
Okay, and that $615 includes the 3
That
campouts?
That would be the 3 campouts. That would be the cost for 3 campouts, the monthly events, and then the tribal gear.
So the daddy-daughter dance is $100 per person?
It is.
That's quite costly.
So a lot of that money goes to charity as well. So Daddy Daughter Dance does a lot of charitable events. Kachina and Kiwashina also do charitable events. I mean, the Federation as a whole last year had, I think it was something along the lines of $50,000 to $60,000 that was contributed in terms of charitable events for the entire Federation. When you go into LaGrange and you see the Wise Men Association, they're the ones that do the Christmas trees through the YMCA for charity. We donate a lot of our time to help them to do that.
Time or money?
Time.
Okay. But I'm really stuck on this daddy-daughter dance for $100. And I
Well, it's
know,
held at the Riverside Country Club, though.
do you have to buy your own drinks there for that?
You
or
do.
You do have to buy your own
Yeah,
drinks?
food is provided, no drinks. There's a DJ. There's a lot of gifts that are given out to the girls in terms of like stuffed animals and prizes and things of that nature.
And I think that would be the one that the tribe would waive the cost for. That kind of like entry fees, the tribe would cover those. The out-of-pocket costs to buy the stuff would be what you would be looking to have help with.
Can I just ask a question here?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, this is right in line. I have a nephew that's in the Boy Scouts. It's right in line with what the Boy Scouts have as far as campouts, patches, events, Pinewood Derby. I mean, I think you guys stole that from the Boy Scouts, but I'm not saying. But I mean, all that stuff is extras. I know I'm right on this because my nephew's in Boy Scouts. He has to pay a certain amount, a yearly fee, and then there's add-ons if he wants to participate. He has to buy his own patches. He has to buy his own gear. So, I mean, to me, it's similar to what the Boy Scouts have. It's just a different club.
And you bundle it differently.
And you bundle it differently than the Boy Scouts.
Sure, there's a lot of parallels that can be drawn between the two organizations. There's no doubt about it.
Other questions?
Well, do we know offhand, and I can probably look in here, I mean, we do the Boy Scouts, we do the Girl Scout troop, right?
We do the,
45,
We support
90,
both, yeah, we support scouts.
And then what about the Boy Scouts? Are they
Yes.
also-
Yes.
the thing that concerns me is that some of this money is gonna be used for these kids to go to a party, right? The daddy-daughter dance?
Again, I listed that as a discussion with the Federation. They said that it was something that might be nice to have for residents that were not part of the organization. I mean, to the extent that you want to strike that, we can, but, you know, it's just something that came out of a discussion with the Federation chief.
So the scout cabin rental,
So we discussed the cost of the scout cabin rental and deferring that last time. You'd asked exactly how many times we go to the scout cabin, what the costs are there. So I split it out by tribe in terms of the guides. Oh, sorry, I didn't list the other one is the princesses. So guides is 300, princesses is 600 annually that's paid for rental of the scout cabin. That's where we have a lot of the crafts that we do. The girls actually meet more. They meet twice a month, and they'll do crafts. So a lot of times it's preparing things for their mothers. It's you know, doing things around Halloween. You know, whatever the case may be. It's really just to have the father and daughter spend time together.
and how often do you guys meet, the fathers and the daughters? Is that monthly?
Twice a month.
Twice a
Yeah,
month?
so it's every other Wednesday, and then we try to kind of filter in. The fathers try and do like one Wednesday a month in between, because again, parents like myself who have both a daughter and a son in the organization obviously can't be there on the same night. We can't use the scout cabin the same night, so we coordinate as such.
So the princesses meet every other Wednesday. And when do the Indian guides meet?
So we also try to meet on Wednesdays. We have a meeting tomorrow, actually. But we try to coordinate so we're not obviously overlapping with the princesses. So we usually meet about once a month at the scout cabins.
So and then do you do something like do an activity like bowling or laser tag?
Not during the scout cabin meeting, but we do.
Right.
We'll kind of intersperse those throughout the year.
I appreciate you coming back and laying out verbatim what you're going to do with the money, because I know that on the application, it was more general terms, so I appreciate you coming back and getting specifics. Thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah, as you can see at the end, one of the things that I proposed that I think would be fair is that, you know, I'd like to come back a year from now, to the extent that there is a grant, to give you some accountability of what happened to those funds. You know, because the hope would be that, you know, the funds actually end up going to where they need to go. If it turns out that for some reason we don't find the need that we anticipated, then happy to kind of at that point in time turn it into a 2-year grant and, you know, extend it and use it as such. But I think that there's a nice opportunity for me to come and actually show you what the funds actually were used for.
Any other questions? I will move that we make this grant, the $2,000 to the Prairie Trail Federation.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Then roll call vote, please.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Lufer?
Abstain.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you. One question. As we do any advertising in terms of, you know, anything in the paper, we discussed the possibility of doing a banner to let people know that registration was open and kind of reach out to the community, let things know. Would it be desirable to have some co-branding with the township that, you know, some of this is made possible because of grants from the township?
We wouldn't object.
Okay.
And I do want you to come back next year.
I will
I
be.
do too, that's why.
I would love, you know, I want to hear the progress, because this is new. I mean, it's probably not new to the Riverside Township area, but it's new to us.
Sure.
So, okay, thanks for coming back.
Thank you very
Thank you very
much.
much.
That's what.
Thanks.
And the Riverside Preschool did not come back with any additional information, so that one we can just pass on.
Do we need an official motion on that?
I don't think so. We just, there's no motion to approve, so
Okay.
last time we denied it, so I think that still stands. Back to item A in old business, the
I
rest.
do have one quick point of order.
Sure.
When are we getting our big dry erase check? I mean, we gotta take a picture of those guys and say, hey, look, money given out.
We could get that done right away
Let's
before
get
we
that.
issue these checks, if you like.
That'd be a great idea, because all these organizations would email that out right away.
Okay.
I also have another question too. I was looking in the township grants here, and just under Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts and what we've done in the past, there's a Pathway to Adventure, Boy Scouts of America, on, well, it's alphabetical, right? So it's on page 8,
Yeah.
and it says 617. I don't remember doing any grant in 617 for the Boy Scouts. Did we do that? I don't remember that.
Where are you?
Page 8 on the township grants.
I thought we did have something for the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, I thought there was a Boy Scout one.
Yeah.
It,
In June?
Yeah,
yeah. It was kind of a carryover because the old board had left it for
Oh,
us.
yeah, that's right, that's right.
So we
that's
just kind
right.
of almost rubber
Okay.
stamped those.
That's right, I remember that, never mind. That's right.
Okay, very good. Then grant discussion is taken care of, and let's go to the resolution authorizing the payment of fees for Paychecks payroll services. And as I explained, we, in order for us not to have this convoluted way of the fees being advanced by our accounting firm, and then they bill us, that this would allow us, and it was drafted by our law firm, this would allow us to have them simply withdraw from our account like they withdraw the money for the actual payments.
this is a pretty standard agreement for a contract payroll
Right.
company. How, I know it's in here somewhere. Give me the terms. How long is this agreement? I've got first year contract remaining.
This is this is the first year of the contract. I believe they established it. Mary Rob, does it make sense that it was in January, or Leanne, was it January of this year that they started with Paychecks, or was it earlier than that?
No,
It was earlier.
Was it earlier? It was earlier? Okay.
I want to say it was like a year in May,
Offhand,
but I could be wrong.
no, it was near the end of the year. It was
Yeah.
before, the annual meeting.
So then that would have been in February or
No,
March.
in April. April's the,
So you said
Township
it was
meeting.
like before.
it was decided at that meeting, I think. Or in March. It's someplace in that vicinity.
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know the question would be asked. I didn't.
But it's been,
No,
Not
I
just-
apologize. It had to be done before that because of the new laws that changed in payroll at the beginning of 2017.
I think those changed actually in July.
Was
There
it
were
in
new-
July?
Yeah, the new rates, you mean?
no.
Oh, the laws, okay, the
new
payroll.
laws for
It's
reporting.
been-
Right.
They changed and the paychecks were in here at the end of 2016, I believe.
Right, so it is just, I think this
It's
is,
just this
we are
year.
still within the first year.
Yes.
I was pretty sure that we were. That's why we were mentioning the first year of the contract here. And yes, unfortunately, we run several different payrolls by the way we've always done it. So, as you can see, there's a bi-weekly for the regular staff. The assessor's office is on a monthly, end of the month, and the elected officials are paid after the meeting for the prior month. Okay?
Okay, how long is the contract? Is it a 2-year deal that we're done with the first year, but now we're in the second year?
I think it's a kind of an automatic renewal unless terminated
Okay,
agreement.
all right, that's pretty standard too.
Could we go back to them and see if there are any efficiencies we could realize? With maybe combining the payrolls?
Well, part of what we've done by going to direct deposit, that has helped because there's not so much of the delivery fees.
Right.
although we have one holdout employee who has not gone to direct deposit, so we still have to have, on that payroll, we still need to have the delivery. And other than that, I mean, certainly I can discuss with them if there's anything else we can do. Right now, we're still trying to make sure that everything works each month because the direct deposit is still new, and I know that our payroll employee always puts it in and then waits, and it doesn't always kick in. So there's something about our system that he calls a few hours later and says, it's still in limbo there, so, can you make sure that the trigger is pulled? And so, it's a work in progress.
Is that, is because their computer is old?
It's that we were only in our second month of direct deposit, so I think that's what the holdup is.
And why is the one employee not going to direct deposit?
Because he's in his 80s and doesn't want to trust anything going electronically. And his wife said so. Basically, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's
really not.
It's really none of our business why. I mean, we couldn't force him to do it, so.
Because,
Well,
just
yeah,
go ahead.
Well, I
guess we
think we're on the same page. I mean,
We should.
technically, we can force them to do it, but is this person really in their 80s? I mean.
Yeah, he's a part-time employee. He's one of our part-time custodians. He's very sharp. He knows how to fix things and works mornings, and I don't know. I don't know how long he's going to choose to keep working. We have no reason at this point to sever the relationship, but one of these days he may decide. I think that he has personal spending money that he looks for this job for rather than really a need.
Well, yeah, but it's just,
It's costing us money, it's costing
Yeah.
us, a delivery charge that's unnecessary.
Right.
that's my thing, that we only have one person, and,
Right.
I know when my company went to direct deposit, we didn't have a choice.
Now, see,
Well-
I work for a company where you had your choice.
Oh, do you?
Yep.
Okay.
Still to this day, we've got two people that they want that check in their hand for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think, for some of our seasonal employees that don't have checking accounts, they have some type of bank card or something that we,
You load.
reload on that. So, but he wants the check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can revisit this issue with him next year. See if we can get,
Right.
just to save us that money.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if he starts seeing that everybody else is happy that their money's in the bank right away, that might persuade him. So.
Okay. So do we need a motion to?
I need a motion to pass this resolution.
I make a move that we pass the resolution authorizing payment of fees for payroll.
I have a motion to pass the resolution authorizing payment of fees for the payroll for the Township of Riverside. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Lufer?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. This is simply in here because it's an ongoing room rental policy. I have not done anything since last week's meeting in terms of codifying our room rental policy, but I did receive an email, I believe yesterday, from Mr. Kelly just asking me that once we put something together to send it to them for review.
That makes sense.
Okay?
Are we planning to have another special meeting on this before the next regular board meeting, or are we going to just delve into this at the next?
I don't think that we need another special meeting at this point because there's nothing to meet about. Hopefully by our next board meeting, you will have received some drafts of things that we can look at more seriously. Okay, and same thing with the grant application process. We provided you what the most recent draft is. Is there anything else that we should be looking at?
I think we've got everything in here.
Yeah, I saw that you added.
And you added in the legal form of entity, which is.
Right, we added the website and,
Website,
yeah.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the 2017-2018 application for grant funding for Riverside Township.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the grant application as presented here and turn that into the actual grant rather than a draft. Any discussion? Then roll call. Let's keep it on.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes?
Trustee Lufer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Very good. Then, next is new business. I am working on some drafts. I am in receipt of the biographies that each of you have presented in the past as candidates. If there's anything you would like to highlight, I do want to put a little bit about each of you. I'm working on putting in the various programs that we offer, information about the meeting to be held with discussion about building utilization. If there's anything that you would like to see in the newsletter, please let me know. Otherwise, this was just basically a down and dirty. We can certainly reach out to other printers. This is simply a proposal from the printer who has done our most recent newsletters. You can see what the cost of printing for the one sheet trifold that we had previously, what that printing cost was, as well as the postage cost. The estimate for the postage is pretty much the same. Doing double the paper is not going to increase that. It still falls within the same guidelines. As you can see, we have gotten a proposal for both doing it so that it looks similar but is bigger, so it would be on the buff or the cream paper with similar ink use, or to go to a 4-color type of item. This is basically what a 4-color, what we're talking about, this size format, and it would be, 4-color ink. It would allow for photographs. This one happens to be from Proviso Township, and it was provided by Trustee Drapka. That's because his parents live in that township, and that's their more recent. This was their spring-summer edition. I expect this one seems to have a lot of just bullet point type of things. We probably for this first one would have a little bit more text, but I still want to keep it airy. And the quotes that you have here actually include us providing the material, but them doing the layout and the graphics and so forth.
Would we put pictures in?
We could put pictures of, for now, the board, going forward, of things like grant presentations.
Well, I think, us handing out chili at that
Right.
type of thing, or when the people that played in the golf outing. You know, Tim had some really good shots. I think we need to have a picture of
I
him.
don't remember them.
Well, it's some of the grant presentations too.
That's what I'm saying, that we could
Yeah.
do grant presentations, yes.
Yeah, for the first time through, I think that the four color is really sharp.
You know what, it's really only like $100 more.
Yeah,
Like
which is
it's like
really surprising.
Right.
100,
Right.
41, and this is
Right,
53.
we were surprised by that quote.
And that's 4 times a year, right?
Well, that would be, I mean, that is per issue.
Per issue?
Yeah, and you can see,
Quarterly,
and the
okay.
bill for the other one was the one issue. And I don't know at this point if we would actually need to do quarterly, you know, we're late into the year, but, so we could adjust there, if we could do 3 times a year if we
Yeah,
thought the
yeah.
cost was too much otherwise.
So this is $1,700 per thing as opposed to 1,600.
Per issue.
I'd go with, for $100 more, I think
Yeah,
that
it's well worth
four-color
it.
thing is very,
think
a lot
people-
more impressive.
Don't read it.
I think people will read it.
Yeah.
They'll see it and then go, whoa,
Right.
what's this, you know?
Right.
And it also, it gives us the ability to do pictures. You know, I mean, if I could put pictures in of the seniors.
That'd be great.
And it catches
Yeah.
your eye, it's more vibrant.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
any pictures that you have from events, please do share them. And,
You know,
you
I have
know,
pictures of my seniors dancing with Elvis.
That
So,
works.
when are we looking to do this, and the only reason, I don't wanna hold up the process here, I mean, if we're all in agreement, then let's go ahead and do it. I mean, we're obviously, been using this company for a while with the current newsletter, but I mean, so I don't wanna hold up the process, but if, we're not looking to do this like right away, should we be considering other bids, or go out and see what another company that does similar things, what would they look like, or what do you guys think? Like I
we
said,
can
I don't
certainly
want-
get other quotes, and I'm looking at within the next month to try to have this rolling.
Yeah.
Why don't we
Ask for
approve
a couple
it
of
for the next newsletter, and then if we want to get other quotes
For the future ones?
for
Sure.
the future ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
okay,
works.
yeah, let's get moving on it then.
So we
yeah.
can get one out before the end of 2017.
Yeah,
I will-
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody's agreed on that, so can I have a motion to approve that we go with Grasso Graphics for a 4-color, 11 by 17 gloss text newsletter?
So moved.
Estimate 12581?
Yes. And do we want to allow for some adjustment? We usually have a plus or minus 10%.
10%.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll add that to the motion.
Okay, I have a motion to approve Grasso Graphics estimate 12581, plus or minus 10%. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Lupfer. Any discussion? Then can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Lufer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And then I don't have a blank resolution, but the language would be exactly as was previously. In order, the previous board was concerned about allowing payment in advance without approval of this board. So we would simply blank out, and this would be a resolution for 2017 and the appropriate number, but as it is in your packet, allowing the township to pay because nobody's going to mail it for us without the approval of postage.
That's fine.
So can I have
We're
a
ready to
motion?
go on that. Do we want to do that now, or?
Let's do it now, just in case we're ready to go just before the next board meeting.
I do have a question though, Vera.
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt.
That's all
I
right.
apologize.
Oh, no, that's all right.
Won't the postage increase as a matter, since we're having a larger mailing?
No, that was what surprised us. They actually did quote, the postage is expected to be pretty much the same.
Same?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, I apologize. I
No,
thought it
that's-
would be more.
Yeah, no, we thought so too, but apparently, you can see on that quote, we highlighted the postage estimate. So long as the postage doesn't go up from the post office, the amount, the cost of mailing this as opposed to a single sheet is the same. The only thing that I will warn you is that they would prefer, they suggest it be mailed flat rather than folded. Because sometimes when you fold and then have those little sticker tabs, that gets messed up in the post office equipment, and the post office actually would prefer it mailed flat. So maybe it would have better
I don't have a problem
coverage.
with
No, that should be no problem.
Right, so,
Question about the postage, and I don't know if you know that, but maybe you can ask them. Where does the Grasso Graphics get their postage lists? This goes to one per household in the township, right? No matter if you're voting or not voting, you're a resident of the township, you get the township newsletter, correct?
Yes.
correct.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is in the past, when I've talked to people that have received past newsletters, they say they haven't gotten it. So, and this could be just because of the current design of the newsletter, that people just don't see it and kind of throw it away because of the way that our current newsletter is set up. So, but I was just asking where, and just to make sure that this goes to every single household, one per household in the district. Just to
I
make
think the other concern, or the other problem with that is that you are at the mercy of the local carrier when you mail this way. So I think that they have some discretion based on their volume of mail on a given day as to when they deliver something at this postal rate. That's been my experience with other mass mailings.
But you're questioning if every resident gets it.
Correct, and so I was questioning where they get the list from and making sure that each and every single household does get.
Well, but the thing is that they, as you can see, the old one, it's strictly local postal customer, so there's no list per se, it's a drop at the post office and it's to be delivered to every household.
And the new every door delivery is pretty spot on. I use it, and it's much better than the old. I mean, they literally just, every single door they deliver it to.
Okay.
But can I say, I live in a 4-unit condo building and we only get one.
Really?
Yes.
I wonder if there's any way that we can, I wonder if that's something we would have to talk probably to the post office itself.
Yeah.
How do we
that's
guarantee that it's every door delivery?
what- Or every person in a building. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if there's a way to get, I don't know, to get a list of all, I don't know, I don't know, you know.
I bet we would have to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to
There'd
buy
be
it each
extra
and every
cost.
single time because people move in and out.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You'd be amazed how customized you can make the list that you want it delivered to. You can choose income level, you can choose
Right.
family makeup, you can choose.
But that comes at a cost though, too.
Well, yeah,
Right.
you just
Right.
click and choose what you want. So it's pretty efficient. But the whole, every door, if there's 4 people behind that door, the question needs to be answered, I agree.
Right, and I think, I really do think that the letter carrier has that option or that discretion, that's the problem. Okay, so that's the motion on the resolution for the
didn't get a
payment of
motion
post.
yet.
We don't have a motion, so can I have a motion to pass a resolution authorizing the advance payment of postage expenses for our newsletter?
So moved.
I have a motion by trustee Clark. Do I hear a second?
Do we want to put a plus or minus 10% on this?
Plus or minus 10% added to
an
the
amount of
motion.
up to 1,500, so it looks like it's already built into this
Okay,
resolution.
then I'll second.
So then,
And plus and minus, we don't need.
We
so
don't,
then we remove that.
right, yeah, it doesn't, the resolution as stated now says up to 1,500, which is generously above what the estimate is now. All right, did I hear a second?
I seconded.
Trustee Heilenbach seconds. Any discussion? And all in favor?
Money.
Yes, if you would please do a roll call vote.
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
trustee Drapka,
Yes.
trustee Hollenbach,
Yes.
trustee Lufer,
Yes.
supervisor Wilt,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. On the food pantry, this is somewhat informational, but we should talk about whether we want to do it the same way. In the past, all of those who have been recipients during the course of the year for the food pantry, when they, at this time of year, when they start picking up food pantry packets, a letter is provided to them inviting them to utilize, to accept our offer of a turkey and trimmings for Thanksgiving, and then later on we do the same of ham and trimmings for Christmas. And currently we have about 60 people who have sometime within the last year taken food from the food pantry. However, our current, I would say since June, I did a rough count today, and there have been about 42 households that have, during the course of the summer, accepted food pantry. So as you can see, the numbers on what we've done in the past, I'm opening this up, so if you have any preferences on how we do these holiday dinners. Again, we don't require any reporting of their financial need for the food pantry. This is simply an enhanced gift that we offer at the holidays. And so there's no additional administration. They simply have to prove, and we do make sure that there's not like two people from a household that each come. We check for that. But they simply have to prove that they're residents of the township and express that they could use the help.
So do you want a motion that we order items for the turkey holiday and the Christmas holiday? And you need to know how many? You said there's about 42?
There's about 42 who have been receiving it.
So do we-
I've been told that sometimes others come out of the woodwork that haven't come, but around the holidays they ask for this because they do like the meal. But it doesn't look like it's been much more than what we're ready for. We could certainly prepare for more. It's just that we don't have a lot of storage space to go much over that.
It looks like a nice Thanksgiving and a nice Christmas meal for a family.
So do we want to order 44 or 45? Do we need a motion?
Well, I have a couple. This one, I feel like this one's really true and dear to, what we do here. And I would, if we have the budget allowed for, you said there were 60 households that used
That have done so within the last year.
Okay, maybe we should try to reach out to those 60 families to see what their needs are. Because, I feel like this is something that this is what we're here for. And we shouldn't be, skimping on any of this because this is what we're here for.
It's possible that some of them have moved out of the township too,
Right,
and that's why they
right.
haven't come back, so.
And I understand that, I know that we customarily purchase from a local grocer, but maybe if we could investigate going to maybe a larger, more nationwide, bigger company, they would have the services to be able to donate, maybe not all of the 60 turkeys or something like that, but maybe like half of the turkeys. You know, I understand, you know, you have to understand a small business isn't gonna be wanting to donate, whereas a larger company may have the resources to do that. So, you know, I mean,
So you're thinking like a Jewel and a
yeah,
Costco, something like that?
Yeah.
Well, Vera said she went to Aldi's this time.
Yeah, I feel awkward going outside the township. You know, we've got, you know, within a 2-mile radius, so I've got 3 Aldis to go to, but I can't beat the price. You know?
I think we also need to maximize, you know, the best use of our money, and
Exactly.
going to Aldi's, you know, allows us to get more for our money.
Right.
I don't really have a
Exactly.
problem with that.
Well, Costco is in our township.
Right.
We're not members.
No, we're not.
I'm a
However,
member
I and
personally.
other staff members are, so we can
Yeah.
utilize that. It's just that, the thing is,
I think it's a
my
great
experience with Costco is that in order to get donations, they like to see the organization have its own membership, but then we run into, you know, the cost of the membership and so
But
forth.
the membership's only like $40 or $50.
About $50,
And,
right.
You know,
Business membership.
we did talk about getting a Costco membership for the township a few years ago, and
When they
the other
first-
board voted it down. But there's no reason we can't revisit that issue.
And I think we should. It's
And,
a township,
I
it's a
have a
township.
personal membership if we
Right.
needed to use it.
I have a personal membership too.
Well, but what we could do, we could also get a tax exemption,
Right.
if we had if the township, so that would save us the difference probably.
Put that on for maybe next month.
Okay.
Yeah, for next month. And I know
Sure.
the office staff really would like a membership
Yes.
there too, and I said I'd be happy to go up and do the shopping for the township if you needed it.
Right. Like I said, I also have a membership and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so,
what- but yeah,
but I think
so-
it would be good for us to have our own.
Right, we could go shop together. One of my biggest issues is carrying it in,
Yeah,
but you know, if we did it during
during business hours.
during business hours,
Yeah,
the guys can come down with their
right,
cart.
exactly.
I know
They do.
Leanne works, but, you know,
Yeah.
still, we could, if we
We
go
could go
at,
together and do it, I'm sure,
Yeah.
if we needed to.
Okay, I'll put the Costco membership on next month's agenda, and in the meantime, do you want to approve our,
well,
do
do we want to, I mean, we can approve that we do this, but do we want to wait until next month?
We could
Get a
wait until
firmer
next
number-
month, right.
And get a firmer number,
Sure,
so we're not,
Yeah.
you know, because we don't want to, because what happens to this stuff that we don't
Right.
give out?
right.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get it a little bit closer, if we could.
Okay,
No, I know I spoke offline about the menu. I mean, where did, I know, you know,
staff simply put this together
Yeah.
as a proposed, this was basically what was provided in the past. If you have other recommendations for putting other things on these menus instead of what's here, or in addition to what's here?
yeah, I do have a suggestion for the Christmas menu, and I don't know if you want to take something off or just add this to it, but I thought that maybe like a mix to make cookies, you know,
brownies.
for Santa, to leave out for Santa, you know. I thought that might be,
We even, after we spoke, it was even suggested that we probably could just get the, like, Pillsbury tubes of cookies
Yeah,
for
there
you go.
the
Yeah.
slice
Good
them up.
job.
and do-
I'd like to see a little different dessert than Jell-O.
Yeah. Sounds good,
Something,
okay.
but I'm a sweet eater, so.
Well, you know what, we could throw a pumpkin pie, you know what, I didn't even pay attention to that, my apologies. But a pumpkin pie instead of Jell-O, I'm in complete
Well,
agreement.
the trouble, I will warn you that right now, we're not in a position to keep a lot of perishable goods. We have a couple of refrigerators. We actually have had some generous donations, and we probably could purchase a chest freezer for some additional items from the food pantry funds, because we've had a couple of good donations, which we would probably put in the basement then, you know, but So, you know, we could do something like that, frozen pies. We're not really in a position, and these are usually given away like the Thursday, Friday, and Monday prior to the holiday. Those are the days that these work out to.
So, yeah, so Christmas Eve is on a Sunday, Christmas is on a Monday.
Monday, so
The
then
shares
we would
be
probably do
like
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Right.
Well, you know, I can see Mike's point with like a box of brownie mix or,
Right.
I mean, they even have dry cookie mixes now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
if
just
you wanted something
something,
like that,
yeah.
if we didn't have the space to do frozen pies. But I also think if we have the funds for a deep chest freezer, you know, we might want to have a discussion on that. Would it be
Right.
useful then more than just the holiday time?
Probably, I mean, you know, I'm certain that we could find some other things. If we had a freezer, then when people come in for the other things, we could have other things that we could provide that way.
As long as we're talking about the holidays here, I know it's never been done before, but there's probably, if these people need assistance with meals, I think that we might want to come up with some type of a program, whether it be a volunteer basis, to somehow give these people a little Christmas gift, especially if they have children. If we would take up some type of a funding from the township, whether it be personal or whether all of us go out and solicit people or get gift cards or whatever. I think it's never been done before, and I see that as being a vital, if you don't share your good fortune with the misfortunate people in the community, you know, or people that you know, it's not Christmas to me.
Or like a toy drive, you know?
Yes, something like
Right.
that.
Now, we don't currently maintain, but I just suggested to staff today, after a conversation with Trustee Drapka, that maybe we should add to the database that we do on Food Pantry, asking the question about the age of children in the household, because it was pointed out that one year, in some recent memory, that there was like a toy drive, and we wound up with a stuffed animal going to a 17-year-old boy or something. So I mean, we want to make sure that it's appropriate, and like you suggest, a gift card, you know, a Target gift card for $10 or something
They would be probably
would be
thrilled with that if they get
would be a
nothing.
very nice option for, you know,
Yes.
older kids too.
Right, yeah, that's what,
When I don't know if they still do it. It used to be in the Sun-Times. People that were underprivileged, their children would send letters, and they would pass out letters. Maybe if we could request that these people that are in need of in the township provide a child letter, and we pass them out to people within the township or we pick a few
put
children.
it in our newsletter.
The Community Nurses Association does a really big Secret Santa program, so we could maybe ask them how because I've been involved in another one, and that is what happens is the 17-year-old gets the 12-year-old presents.
Right,
But it seems like they've figured that system out.
right.
Well, we used to do it when I worked at someplace that I worked, and we'd pick the one letter, and then the whole office would put together this package of what the child said they need. And granted, they would ask for clothes, they would ask for books, they would ask for shoes. That's the type of thing they would ask for. And one of the people from our place of employment would go there and bring all the presents to the child. It was a wonderful gesture, I felt.
We have, at our work, we have what we call a giving tree, and we post up there, like boy 8, and these would be like the 3 things that he would like, and then the person takes that ornament off the tree and then goes to the store and gets 1 or 2 of what he wants, unwraps them and brings them back.
Like I said, right now, we don't have the data, so we're gonna start
Yeah.
collecting, just asking, you know.
I mean, I guess what would be easier, I mean, at this point, do you, like a Christmas tree with that stuff, or just a big box, like having a toy drive, just
Well, I'm thinking right now, I'm thinking in terms of maybe if we did have a toy drive, and then if we could identify, like, have just a gift bag or something and have an age on it, so that when somebody does come to get one of these, and then we could give the right age appropriate thing, and if nothing else fits, then have some gift cards for kids of the right ages. I mean, that's something that would be not too much administration at this point, you know, because it's September already.
Yeah.
It's funny how fast that time
This
will
would
go.
be a good project for Indian princesses.
I was
and
thinking
Indian
that
guys.
exact same thing.
That would be
It's a
great.
no-brainer, isn't it?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I actually already wrote it down.
Okay.
Great minds think alike.
How wonderful. Partner with the groups that we support.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what,
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, because they do it. They do the Secret Santa program. so-
yeah, so,
Bring it
maybe a
home.
great idea for them.
Okay.
No, it'd be awesome, going on that note, you know, I mean, I know that there are community service organizations out there that do similar things just like this. You know, wouldn't it be nice if we could all get on the same page? You know, so
Work
it's
together.
a one huge big effort and not a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, and you don't know who's being covered by where, you know what I mean?
Well,
And
that's
then
it.
somebody falls through the cracks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the one thing
Yeah.
you don't want. It's
Right.
You're absolutely right.
That's
Trustee.
Oh, I thought that they were taking care of you. You
Right.
mean you didn't take care of them?
Yeah,
Oh.
somebody gets,
Right.
yeah.
You know, I know it's Township Community Nurses has a big thing, and they're out of LaGrange though.
Yeah.
And
So,
I'm sure they outreach out here, right?
I'm not sure.
I don't know that they do. I
I don't
think
know if they do, and I don't really know if there's anybody in the township that,
I've never heard of anything. That's,
like, does a Secret Santa program.
Yeah, well, I think some of the churches do it. I want to say that Mater Christi, but they're outside the township
Yeah.
actually, but, you know, it has some of it. Some of the schools do that kind of thing. I don't know if the District 96
I don't think
does
they do
anything
that.
these days.
No.
No?
And I know my church, the Presbyterian Church, doesn't do it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Something to
Certainly.
research.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
okay.
the other thing too is that, sometimes adopt a family too, and then the other, group that is neglected frequently is the seniors.
right,
Is not so much the seniors that come to,
right, but the
No,
seniors
but
in the
seniors
community.
within the township that
Right,
don't
the
have
orphaned
the-
seniors, basically.
yeah, you know, and that could be,
That was one thing I was thinking about the extra food that we have. If we order 60, only 45 show up. Would we be able to cook it for the seniors upstairs? Could we do some kind of, I mean,
Well, you know, that's what that's what I was talking about. You know, getting everybody on the same page. Because if we have some left over, you know, maybe we can just give it to another organization, or that does the same thing, or we don't need to have any left over because we're all coordinating efforts here.
In the past,
So-
when there was leftover turkeys and hams and stuff, I think the previous board used to donate it to the
Food depository?
municipalities,
Oh.
fire and police station.
I think
Oh.
we donated it to the fire and police, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All duly noted.
One thing on the letters, because I was taking a look at the letters. I know that you're a completely different style,
Yeah.
but I just had to point this out. Can you change these letters? I mean, this.
Oh, they
I'm reading
definitely
this
will be
letter,
changed.
And I'm like,
We
this
just,
is-
it was just, what have we done
This
before?
sounds so
Give me a
mean.
sample of what we've done before.
I mean, I just got this angry letter in my. I'm like reading this. I'm like, this is so mean.
No, yeah, don't worry, we'll make sure that these are written in a little warmer tone.
Yeah, just a bit.
Okay, otherwise, so we'll bring this up again next month and with some greater proposals, I guess. And just for FYI, just a reminder that the North Riverside Autumn Fest is this Friday. Our beloved clerk is cooking the chili. And,
For the
she-
how many years that I never went. But I think trustee Hollenbeck is gonna
beat you.
take the prize.
Oh, doing so for another
But he said
organization.
he has to bribe them. Can we out-bribe them?
We're this close.
So if any of you would like to come and help, I will certainly be there with Clerk Blau, and I know that Marjorie from the office will be there too. I'm sorry?
Friday.
It's this Friday at North Riverside behind
And it is a
the
very
Village
nice
Commons.
affair,
And
and it
it
really
culminates
is.
in a beautiful fireworks display,
Yeah.
so if nothing else, come and see
Had
that.
a nice band, always, real nice time.
Right.
And the
Please,
weather's supposed to be good.
I'm sorry?
The weather's supposed to be good?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
supposed to
it
be
is.
beautiful. Actually, Teresa Mrozik from North Riverside Recreation was in today to pick up a banner because they're going to display our banner as being one of the sponsors of the event. So she came to pick that up, and she was very excited because it's supposed to be in the 80s and clear. So they're anticipating a huge crowd. For your information, this is from the Township Perspective magazine, but please take note that the annual educational conference in Springfield is coming up. The township already changes the November meeting to accommodate this. Our board meeting is on a different week so that you may attend. Obviously, it's not mandatory, but there are, I understand there's very good information available there, so if you can come for any part of it, I'm sure that would be welcome. Do let us know, and we can send in the registration together for this, but let us know what you will be able to participate in. And as I said, the Torma's letter regarding the bridge as a bike path is also included for your information. Are there any other questions?
You know, this, just a comment, this looks like it's a different schedule this year, that the banquet's on Monday night instead of Tuesday night, and then we end on Tuesday and just go home at 4 o'clock.
It looks like it, yes. Yeah.
And then they have a tour of the Abraham Lincoln,
Well, that's why I wanted to call it to your attention so you could plan accordingly. I know that I expect that they're actually talking about the training on general assistance being together with the social workers and being on Saturday, so even though most things don't start that early, I will probably have to be there all day on Saturday already, so. They-
When do you need to know, when do you need to have these filled out by from us?
Well, as you can see, there's a discounted price if we can register before October 27th. So you should have decided by the next meeting so that we can send it shortly thereafter. Okay?
so then also it's an additional, like for the awards breakfast, it's an additional cost, and then for the banquet, it's an additional cost. Right? That's what I'm
So,
reading at the bottom.
yeah, it looks like it. Well, I don't know. Is that,
Well, that's what it says at the bottom of that first page. And that's usually always how it's been, that those were an additional cost.
Really? Or what is it, a full registration? What's the full registration?
That, I don't think that includes the awards breakfast or the banquet. I think we have to pay for those additionally.
I'll study it a little further and make sure that we know. Okay. Okay. So we're on to warrants. Sorry, I did not prepare the blank, but if somebody would like to take on and fill in the blanks on the warrants, I knew there was something else I was supposed to do today. Got a couple of calls that distracted me. So I have somebody want to take that on? We have the various warrants. By the way, I'm going to be working with the bank. We may be making some changes to the types of bank accounts, because now that we've gone to online banking, business banking, we've discovered we're getting a $27.50 a month fee, and which is unusual. Normally it's cheaper. Well, I found out that it's because we have classic accounts that predate online banking.
Okay.
And we earn interest on our checking account. So I'm going to be talking to the bank to see if we shouldn't shift things around, or we would keep more in the money market, less in the checking, and just shift when needed and avoid fees. But if you find, when you study the warrants and look at the bank account reconciliation, that there's fees, that's why.
Okay, and then also, is there ways we can pay other things online? Like the utility bill and the phone bill and,
Rather than writing checks?
yeah. But like,
I'll investigate when we talk to them. Like I said, the accounts that we have now don't necessarily allow me to do all the transactions online, so we'll take a look at that.
okay. You're up, Tim.
No, I'm
He's
writing.
He's filling in his blanks, so.
I don't have the warrant. All I have is a blank piece of paper.
Well, you have the warrants in your packet. Sorry. So that's at the back, behind the warrants and financials tab.
Got it.
Right, so the general warrant, the total on that one is $25,101.
23.
Yeah, okay. Trustee Heilenbach moves the board authorize and ratify the payment of the bills identified on the general warrant for September 12, 2017 in the amount of $25,101.23 as presented to the board on this 12th day of September 2017.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Trustee Heilenbach moves and trustee Clark seconds the approval of the general warrants in the amount of $25,101.23. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Lutfer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right.
Yeah, these are never in the same order as this list,
Right.
so.
Okay.
Utility,
Could they be put in the?
there's no reason why we couldn't. I'll ask them to put them in that order.
Okay, motion by trustee Heilenbach, the board ratify and authorize payment of the amounts indicated on the following warrants. We're
And you
going-
can just read them as they are in the book.
The grants was $1,200. The utility warrant is $1,031.01. The payroll warrant for $21,567.67. The health warrant for $1,485.96. The food pantry warrant for $549.54. The general assistant warrant in the amount of $2,418.08. And that is all.
You have heard the motion by trustee Heilenbach for the warrants as listed. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Lupfer. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lupfer?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. And there being no further business, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting's adjourned.